All right. We are talking some truck series. DFS here. We're going to give everybody time to get through the ad. Going to give time for people to see the tweet on Twitter when I send that. And we'll be all good to go. I'll let you guys join in, start dropping some comments and stuff. I will read them in one moment. IRP, here we go. I felt so bad. I was asking Pearce questions today and wanted to talk about next year and everything. And the poor guy was like, "Hey man, I'm busy. Not only are Fridays wall to wall, week one salaries just dropped. So, man, I was just poor timing on that. I felt bad. I was annoying, or not annoying, but out of all the days to start asking just random questions of, hey, how can I do this? What can I improve on this? What can I do here? Let's see, fantasy. We'll do NASCAR and then NASCAR. That was my morning. Get this link out. And let's go. All right, so let me just check real fast. When we look at let's see, do they ever update the lap averages? So the lap averages on NASCAR's end are not up. We have put some lap averages in. Let's just look right fast. So, because I guess since just NASCAR is not going to do their job. So I went ahead and goofed around, and I want to add that this is more so whenever I go in and start looking at laps and practice and stuff, I will be very particular and I wouldn't say aggressive is the right word, but I went ahead and looked at everybody's laps, and I generally took, because not everybody did 5 laps. We had about 14 guys run a 10-lap run, and those times are there, but not everybody did that. We had some teams run 5 laps and then go back down, run 4 laps, go back down. So what I did was I combined 4 and 5 lap runs, and I eliminated certain laps in terms of if I think they were in traffic, if I think they went down pit road, and I went ahead and put that in Discord based on just it's 27 guys ranked on a 4 to 5 lap average run. They're kind of combined. As I said, I use some guys with 4 laps, some guys with 5 laps, just to add that, since NASCAR is just not going to do that. On the sheet that we use, and first off, I don't put that data in there because this is data that I've gone in and kind of tinkered with. It's not just the bare bones data and stuff, and any data that I kind of tinker on, I leave it on just my own stuff. We went ahead and we do have the laps. We have all the laps on there. If you're a part of the Patreon, you check out the PA1 tab, you're going to see all the laps, and then I would encourage you to go all the way to the right on PA1 to see certain laps ranked. That I think are still a really good idea of how these guys are going to end up running tonight. But when I was going through and looking at laps, we need to look at this race in a sense of all the things that we're going to probably see drivers struggling with. And it was something that I was really concerned about. I didn't think it would be this aggressive. And certainly the fact that we saw that it played such a big thing in qualifying is that the ARCA rubber being put down by the ARCA cars is just not combining well with the Goodyear rubber that they have on the trucks right now. And so we saw a lot of guys, and for me, from what it looked like, it just seemed like a pushing loose issue. Like you would just enter the corner and it would just continue to be pushing loose, and then it would kind of snap on you through the exit whenever you start standing more on the accelerator. That's particularly why we saw people like Crafton and other people struggle mainly out of the corners and out of 2 and out of 4. I'm assuming that the track is going to get tighter. Now, with that said, ARCA's putting a lot of rubber down right now, pretty much all over the racetrack. And I think that we're going to have a situation where these cars are very floaty during the first run. And when we're looking at the front row, I would not be shocked to have a situation where Nemechek, Smith, Eckes, or Corey all might, or one of the other. I'm concerned about one of these guys like kind of overdriving it and losing the lead and just getting stuck running second and third all day. I think the clear favorites for the win are Nemechek, Chandler Smith, and Corey. I think 2 of them I think two of them are very, very close to being optimal. I have fast laps spread pretty not fast. I have laps led spread pretty evenly between these three guys. I actually really like Corey Heim, and the reason I like him is because yet again, when I went through and looked at the laps, I wanted to see what the cars were right off the bat in terms of running on the greenish racetrack that had rubber from different compounds. And typically, we saw when you look at the data and you look at the laps, you see a lot of people have some of their slower laps right at the start of practice, like their first run right onto the track is one of their slower lap times. Typically, whenever you found 5 lap runs or 3 to 4 lap runs that were actually quick, it was after the initial run off the trailer. Whereas with Corey, his laps right off the trailer were really, really, really fast. And at least in my mind, I think that's what we want to see is that. And clearly, Corey was first, Chandler Smith was second, Hunter Nemechek was fourth fastest. And so it's clearly KBM knowing what they're doing. But the fact that they arrived to the track right off the trailer, had the fastest cars. They qualify up front. They're going to have the fastest cars in the race here. I'm leaning more towards trying to get Corey in a line, and especially when I just said I think two of these three guys are optimal. I would probably lean to having more Corey in my line than I would John Nemechek just to try and get off um, a little bit of the ownership to Nemechek for a guy that I think is very similar in terms of projections, very similar in terms of upside, and slightly cheaper to try and get you to some of the plays that you might not be able to if you're paying up for Nemechek and Chandler Smith. I think Chandler Smith is going to be a great play today. It's a shame that he's in the ARCA race because I think that he is probably going to see a slight bump in ownership because we're going to clearly have people be like, oh, he just won the ARCA race. Oh, he just finished second in the ARCA, wherever he ends up finishing in the ARCA race. But I think Chandler Smith is a pretty good play. Let me just get through these questions right fast, and then we'll end up going through and looking at some of the cheaper plays and the pump plays that we can work on. Thank you, Hollywood. I do appreciate it. I mean, this is the first comment before I even got the stream started. Thank you very much for that. Same thing with you, Keith. Thank you guys for joining. 57 of you guys here on a Friday evening. Thank you for being here. Let me see. Everyone else burn all their Camping World jerseys. Did we? Do you have Camping World jerseys? Like Marcus is very much a he. There's two types of rich people in the world. Okay, regardless of however you view these two individuals, like you have Mark Cuban and you have Marcus, where Cuban very straightforward. He says what he thinks. He puts his money where his mouth is. He wants to do certain things. You have Marcus, who just seems a bit shady. I understand, he turned to a PR spin of like, look, we're going to pull out of NASCAR so we can pay our employees more. But the fact that, everybody's like, oh, thank you for sponsoring all the trucks last year when we had like 15 Camper World trucks at Las Vegas, but he really didn't give him a lot of money. Like that doesn't really go far. Like what did Norm Benning ever do with that money? What did Jennifer Jo Cobb ever do with that money? Like we never saw that money actually end up doing something. And so at least with Camping World, I frankly, I don't really care about the announcement. Let's see. When we look at Purdy today, I currently have Purdy at 33 points today. There are other guys in that price range that I think are more viable, and we will get there in a second. They are not messed up. It initially looked that way whenever you look at the 10-lap averages and you see all the fucking scrubs on that list. But when you look at the laps, that's just where they are. What's fishy is, or not fishy, but the fact that NASCAR always runs into issues whenever you have either truck and Xfinity at a different track versus where the Cup Series is. We always run into those issues. And for whatever reason, just somebody just didn't show up to work today, or they just don't care, and they just never put up the averages there. The 5, 10, 15. I guess they just didn't care today, and so luckily at least I pulled all the data during the practice, so we have all that. If you're part of the Patreon, you have all the practice. You can confirm or deny whatever you want to look at. All that data is right. Let's see. I did kind of talk about the averages. Like I said, we have all the laps there. I might end up showing the average. I think I'm going to show this. This is what I ended up doing, just because I know I had quite a few people ask me. Let me share this right fast. So let me get that there. So this is just real quick. As I said, I went ahead and looked through, and this is my sheet, not necessarily Pearce's sheet. This is just what I use to make my PDF and my projections and stuff. But I ended up moving, and these are granted, like some of these drivers are 4 laps, some of these drivers are 5 laps. But this is typically how they run through. They're kind of similar to when you look at NASCAR's, and certainly like the 10-lap averages pretty much follow this suit. But this is how I wanted. I was just curious because clearly we didn't have them, and I just wanted to see where kind of everybody ended up being. Um, and it's very much similar to what we projected to uh, end up seeing at this point in the what is it, entering this week. It's very similar to what we saw. The fact that Zayn Smith was pretty slow in general, backed it up in qualifying of just being slow. Um, so at least for me, this backs up a why Zayn Smith qualified so poorly, just because he didn't have a very fast car in practice. And like I said, these are very much a combination of some guys I pulled 4 laps, some guys I pulled 5 laps, but I just wanted an idea of kind of how it all broke down, just because NASCAR just didn't give a flying shit to actually do it themselves. But I want to post that real fast, really show you where kind of my ideas are. I'm probably not going to lean Ty Majeski today, just due to the fact that I think KBM, sure, we can have a situation where one of the guys throws the opportunity away to win, but I don't think all 3 of them are going to completely mess up this opportunity, despite the fact that I do have, out of the guys in the top 10, I do have Ty Majeski as the first, second, third, fourth. Tertiary is third. I don't know what fourth is, but like the 4th guy to get laps starting inside the top 10. And thank you, BVP, yet again for, I think this is nearly every time you watch the stream. And for everybody watching, 6 of you guys here, if you're not a part of the Patreon, I don't think BVP is, but I think I know for a fact he watches all the streams. He does pretty good. If you see him up in the leaderboard, he's up there competing for wins and certainly cashing, like by bare minimum. But how long have you been doing this, BVP? Like nearly like a month and a half, 2 months of straight $50 donations. I can't find a better advertisement than that. I don't even have to say anything. The fact that I have somebody donating $50 on every stream should explain enough of the fact that we put in the hard work, and just everything that we do is worth the support. Sleepy Joe, thank you for joining me, and thank you for tuning in from New Hampshire, Michael. Happy to have you back, Michael. I know you hop in and out every now and then. I'm going to leave your comment up, BVP. Once we get past the fact that I would lean towards using 2 of the 3 KBM guys in this race, just due to the fact that we have 200 laps. While I do think that we have a good chance of one of these guys pulling away, the fact that we're going to have just a ton of general tire rubber on the track, and the fact that practice was in the middle of the day, qualifying was when the track was probably the hottest. We're going to be around similar air temperature by the time this race starts for the truck series. Track tip is probably going to be a bit cooler, so it should help the fact that these guys are so loose, or at least how loose they were in qualifying, to where the track should be closer to what it was in practice versus the comparison to practice and qualifying. I still think that there's a good chance that we have one guy lead over 100 laps, probably close to 150 in my opinion. Or we have KBM guys kind of swap it in out between 2 of them, and maybe 2 of them lead, 80, 75 laps from around there. That's the type of race I'm banking on, just due to the fact that we're going to have lap traffic as well. Like, this is a situation where if it was the old racing, like, I don't know if you guys watch a lot of old NASCAR footage. I think this is a situation where it clearly shows the superior racing of the mid 2000s, certainly in the truck series. Like, the races at this racetrack in the old series, I mean, even in 2011, 2010, but specifically in the 2000s, people race clean. People didn't bump each other out of the way. When you look specifically at, Sauter losing the rate, they were talking about, I forgot his name. When he got past the last lap after Sauter led nearly the whole race, Sauter did not get moved out of the way. Nobody crashed each other. So when we enter this race, I think we're gonna have lap traffic. We see it in ARCA. Just people are blind. People don't want to respect each other. We saw the leaders going 4 wide not very long ago. When you look at the talent in the truck series, I fully believe that people are not going to be giving way to leaders. Like, look, the race lane is clearly the outside of the track. Okay, there's no way everybody just gives the leaders the outside of the track. I fully believe we're going to run into lap traffic at some point. That's a situation where I can see a guy not running away with the race and being passed, not because he's slow, not because the car falls off, but just because he gets trapped in a bad lane behind traffic and somebody else is able to take advantage of that. Once we get past that, let me go ahead and look at these projections real quick. Let me move StreamYard over here. At least that's my my opinion. When we look at the two grays, I would certainly take Taylor Gray over Tanner Gray, just because he's cheaper. I got him projected for the exact same amount of points, but that is where I'm at there. Once we get through that, let's kind of look at the cheaper guys here. I think this is certainly a race where I think you have to project everybody at least getting a top 30 finish. We're probably going to have some incident at some point in this race, whether it be people racing stupid, whether it be, somebody wrecking on the entry of the corner and nobody else having, like the first two cars behind them not really having anywhere to go, just due to the fact that this is a top groove racetrack. But like I can see Jack Wood clearly running into an issue here. I could see Purdy running over his head. Lawless Allen doing something stupid. Dean Thompson is a candidate to be an idiot and wreck somebody or get involved in something. And so due to that, I don't think Blake is going to have a ton of speed, but I have Blake projected for 17 points. I think Timmy Hill is right at value. Timmy Hill is a guy that just had a bad qualifying run. When you look at his laps, he's going to clearly have 23rd place time. That's going to be fine based on his price. Chad Chastain is very, 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 very slow. But the fact that I think he's going to be slow enough to where he's not involved in a wreck. I have Chad Chastain finishing. I think it's inside the top 25. Let me look. Let me move this over here. Where do I have Chad? Chad Chastain. I got Chad finishing 25th. And so this situation to where I think everybody starting 30th on back has a chance to at least pass 6 cars, just due to people wrecking out and being stupid and just racing like a bunch of idiots. As I said, entering this week, I don't think Lane Riggs races like an idiot. I think he's going to race fine. I think he's going to race clean, and he has a car that's going to be faster than other people. I think Kaz Gralla, it's a shame that he kind of starts that far back, because I do think he's going to be pretty popular, especially in cash and tournaments, just because you're going to land on Kaz Gralla no matter what type of lineup you're end up building and stuff. But I think Kaz Gralla is fine. You bring up Zayn, and so here's a situation to where I love Zayn in the intermediates. When we look at how Smith and front row and really what DGR is doing, I don't know if I lagged there. Hold on. Sorry, I got so many tabs open right now. Let me close out some of these tabs so I can actually not fry my computer on accident. Where is that? Okay, so anyway, when we look at Zayn, and we look at how they have been running here. Sorry, I'm still closing out of stuff. All right, where are you at, Zayn? Martinsville, 5th fastest. I think that is the ceiling for Zayn Smith. This is going to be an extremely difficult race to gain a ton of positions on. I understand Zayn Smith starting 23rd, but when you look at his practice times, and as I showed when we kind of took a guesstimate on where everybody would kind of fan out if NASCAR, or if everybody kind of ran 5 laps and we all kind of combined everybody and looked at their best 4 to 5 lap run, we see Zayn Smith mid of the pack. I don't think he has the car to fly through the field. And when we look at flatter tracks, yeah, sure, he had the 4th best car at Gateway, but he ended up finishing 9th. Same thing with Martinsville. Martinsville, the 5th fastest car, finished 9th. This situation where, yes, I think he's going to have a fast car. I think he's going to get into the top 15, be on the edge of the top 10. It then depends on when the cautions come out, when the depending on what he wants to do with pit strategy, depending on where the lap traffic is. It's going to be a situation to where, yeah, sure, it's a short track, but even Zayn Smith is going to fall behind the leader just due to the fact that they're going to be in clean air for a while, and he has to be around people, most likely not in the dominant lane. during certain portions of this race. And so for me personally, I'm not playing Zayn Smith. I don't like the 12. I don't like the 11-2 price tag. I don't like the fact that I don't see any laps led from Zayn Smith tonight. We're going to need so many people to have issues. And I would much rather chase laps led in this race than go after Zayn Smith. That's just where I'm at personally here. I'll come back to your question in a second. I like Gralla more than Purdy. I got Purdy for 33 points. I'm not playing Purdy today. So okay, so here's a situation to where I want to avoid people that I think are going to have any chance of doing stupid stuff. And yes, it is the truck series. We can have guys, go full on roid mode and start wrecking each other for the win. I understand that. But when we go through the field and look at people that I am concerned about doing stupid stuff, I'll go from the bottom of the field up. Blake, Chris Wright. If Chris Wright does not get in the wall at some point in this race, I will be shocked. Perkins, Dean Thompson, Lawless Allen, Austin Wayne Self. Austin Wayne Self's going to have a fast car. He'll most likely use the bumper on somebody and probably get in the wall as well. Jack Wood, Chase Purdy, Colby Howard. Those are my main guys that I want to avoid because I think there's a higher chance that they get in the wall, get wrecked, wreck somebody, and just piss the field off. And so those are guys that I'm purposely avoiding tonight because I think they have a higher chance than usual to do something stupid in this race. That's just where I'm at there. I'm trying to avoid those guys. So with Johnny Sauter, I am not getting to Sauter. I probably don't have him projected for high enough. I have him for 11th tonight. However, it's difficult for me to see Johnny Sauter do much more than 11th just due to the fact that, look, I understand he had the 6th fastest car at Gateway, finished 5th. Martinsville, 7th fastest car, finished 2nd. But I think as dumb as it sounds, I really do think people played Johnny Sauter tonight, and I'm not trying to fade him due to ownership. I don't know if he has the car to get up there. Let's go ahead and look at his best laps and where he's ranked amongst other people. So he has the 10th. He is ranked 10th in our little thing that we're ranking laps by on PA1. When you look at his overall lap time or his overall practice standing, he is 10th. When we look at my little jerry-rigged 4 to 5 lap runs, I don't even think he's on there, but let me see. Smith, Rhodes, Eckes, where are we at? I don't think Sauter's even on it because he did not run at least a 4-lap run that I wanted to count. And so I don't think Sauter is worth the $9,100 price tag. I think he scores more in the 30s. And so for me, I'm just not going to get to Sauter. And especially once you kind of see the way that I want to chase this race and be very aggressive on trying to get the main lap leaders and trying to get 2 of the KBM guys, you quickly see the type of build that I'm probably going to end up getting on. And let me tell you that. Let me explain that. If I can load this, feel free to drop in more questions and stuff while I am kind of goofing around here. Okay. So let's kind of talk about a guy that I really, really like, and that I think you should, like. If you like Johnny Sauter, let's talk about a guy who's way cheaper than Johnny Sauter, who has very similar projections, very similar upside, and a very similar car, and that is Matt DiBenedetto. Faster times than Crafton, cheaper than Crafton, right around probably 44, 42, 45 points on DraftKings tonight, whereas I think Johnny Sauter's ceiling is very much the same. I would much rather play Matt DiBenedetto, and I think he is a guy that you should probably prioritize because I don't know if the field is going to get to him if they're chasing people like Zayn Smith, if they're chasing plays like Kaz Gralla, if they're chasing people like even like Timmy Hill and stuff. They're landing more in the 7K and 6K ranges to where it's difficult for them to get to Matt DiBenedetto and also chase a lot of place differential. Where I think the way to get different is to play Matt DiBenedetto. And I'm not saying he's not going to be owned, but I think DiBenedetto is a really, really great play today to try and limit exposure, not even limit exposure, but have a different type of build compared to everyone else. Let's talk about The value range, real quick. I don't know why I'm having so many speech impediment issues tonight. I think Perkins needs to be considered at $5,100 if you get down there. I think Jesse Little should be considered as well. Those are probably the only two guys in the 5K range that I would play if I'm down there. I don't think this is a race that you need to get that far down to. If you're playing Zayn Smith or Nemechek, I see a build that lands you in the 5K range more often than not. That's why not only do I think Corey and Chandler have a much higher chance of winning this race than John Nemechek, but it also gives you a much different build. And especially now that we're back to a somewhat bigger contest with 7,000 people in there, I think if Nemechek is going to be owned because he's starting on the pole, I like Chandler Smith more. I like Corey Heim more, you know. And I think head to head between Chandler Smith and Nemechek, it's Chandler Smith. And so for me, I'm probably not going to end up using Nemechek today, especially because I want to play aggressive. And how's the 33 doing? I might enter the 33 and not play Nemechek in it just due to the fact that I think ownership is going to be centered around Nemechek. It's probably going to be centered around Kaz Grala. It's probably going to be centered around hell, even somebody like Enfinger, probably Jesse Little, probably a 5K play. I just want to try and get a different build on that. So that's my opinion there. Let me look at these real fast. Where you at, Johnny? 1 2 1 2 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 2 3 4. He has a 4. Sauter went down pit road a ton, and this is not missed lines because we got a lap 3, lap 10, lap 3, lap 7, lap 10, lap 14, 18, 23, 27. He did a lot of 3-lap runs. I mean, if we do look at the 3-lap runs, which are I ended up putting him around 3rd or 4th in 3-lap runs. That is a situation where I wish he would have ran more because that I mean, clearly he's not happy with something. You don't pit that many times if you're happy with the car. And it is interesting that he kept having a 105, 106. I think that's the tires cooling off. I really do. Because anybody who did a lot of laps on the tires, came back down and went back out, they're most likely running around 103 at the line, 104 at the line. Whereas Sauter kept maintaining, his first lap right out the gun on cold tires kept being a 106. That's just my opinion there. Because when you rank Johnny Sauter's average laps, he's 3rd fastest. When you rank his fastest laps compared to the rest of the field, he's 10th fastest. That's my argument there. I just won't be on Sauter today or tonight. Enfinger, probably not for me. I forgot to check my 33. We got 192. Okay, I got time to get on that after the show. Where are we at? Enfinger. Man, I have so many tabs and so many sheets in each tab. This is ridiculous. Where the heck is Enfinger starting, man? Enfinger, where you at, my main brother? He is starting 5th. So okay, this is where I'm at with Enfinger. I would and I'm talking about getting off Nemechek, but in terms of ranking guys in the top 10, it's the KBM guys, and then Majeski, and then Hocevar, and then Enfinger. So Enfinger is so far down the totem pole, I would just not play Enfinger today. That's just where I'm at. And I'm not getting to freezing either. I think KBM just has this locked out. And if they don't, then it falls into Majeski. It falls into Hocevar. These are guys that I think that I would much rather go to in a situation where KBM runs into issues than Enfinger, but that's just where I'm at. I did kind of talk about the 6K range, but we can talk about them again for you. I don't think you should go there in cash. First and foremost, I don't think you should play cash. Thirdly, I like Riggs. I know he's 65, but I would try and get to him in cash. I would probably get to Jesse Little or Perkins if you want to go that far. He missed the corner, and so this is a new truck that Timmy Hill has. I'm gonna assume that it's a road course and short track truck because this is the debut of this machine. When we look at his lap times and luckily Fox actually showed his run, you saw Timmy Hill just absolutely miss a corner and didn't want to chase it in the second lap. I'm not worried about Timmy Hill. The fact that he has an unsponsored car does not concern me because he has only had a sponsor for very few races this year, and they have not torn up a lot of equipment. If anything, Tyler's torn up more, and I think it's only 2 trucks at this point. Actually, Hill did rear end somebody at Road America, but that was fine. The truck was fine. It was a situation where they did not have to replace the front clip on that machine. And so for Timmy Hill, if you're playing cash, kind of back to what you asked, John, I think Timmy Hill's probably going to be chalk as well. But between Hill, what's his name, Riggs, I think there's a lot of arguments to be had to just not dive down into the 5K range. Excuse me. Why is everybody talking about the 6K range, man? I've talked about Riggs all week. I don't think I need to answer that anymore. I like Riggs. This is where I'm at. I'm playing Larry Riggs. If you're in the 6K range is limited to Timmy Hill, Larry Riggs. If you want to be aggressive, play Austin Wayne Self. If you want to be aggressive, probably with the higher ceiling and a much lower floor, it'd be Chris Wright. But I like the build that I have. I don't feel the need to get to Chris Wright. That's where I'm at. Let's see. Once we're past that, who else have I not talked about? Talked about the Benedetto. Talked about Riggs. There is a part of me that is concerned. Let's see. What do I have Gralla projected for? I got Gralla. I got him for 17 today. I think that would lean more towards getting on Gralla because I think especially if this race gets done now, he could get involved in a wreck. But the fact that he starts 30th as a chalk play, and I mean, I think people play Riggs. I might just be approaching this slate differently than other people, but I think Kaz Gralla has a real chance of finishing inside the top 15 today. If I was going to be even with the field or over the field on any of the chalk plays or any of the place differential plays on the back, I'd probably be more overweight on Kaz Gralla than anybody else. I think a lot of the chalk in this field or in this race would probably be in Timmy Hill, Gralla, Nemechek, and Chandler Smith is all warranted. I don't think there's any bad chalk. It's more so just trying to find people. It's more so trying to find a situation where all of them work together or work in the same race. That doesn't make sense. Hope it makes sense. That's where I'm at there. I haven't seen it, man. Perkins was in my original build. And I think yes, Perkins makes mistakes. The poor guy has had really, really, really bad finishes. I think I've played him nearly every week in one line or another, just hoping to find the week like Nashville to where he finally finishes well. When you look at his speed, he is a 30th place car. He is slow. He is a goober. Remember to get, I believe, what race was it? Was it Kansas where he just got spun out and they didn't throw a yellow on him for him? Perkins is a guy that gains positions due to people wrecking in front of him. So Perkins at $5,100 starting at the back of the field I think this is a place where it is perfectly fine playing Perkins. He is not going to race for the win. He is not going to race for top 15. We are just hoping that he maintains his reigning position. This is his bread and butter. The only place that I would probably trust Perkins more than anywhere else would be a short track like this, to where there are distinct lines. They can get out of the way of the leader. Perkins, just run the yellow. Keep your left sides on the yellow, and you got it. You'll be fine. That's all I want to see from Perkins. I think he is going to be perfectly fine if you land on him or get to him in your lineups. I would not be concerned about that. I'm not getting to Crafton. Deegan, Deegan has talent. We've seen her run better as of late, which isn't even that hard because she was wrecked for the first 8 weeks of the year. Remember when everybody else was making fun of her and we're at like Darlington in Kansas and people were like, "Oh, Haley Deegan sucks. Sophomore slump. She never had talent to begin with." Well, yeah, she was wrecked like every week, to start the season. We've seen it. We've finally seen it consistently. These are her finishes this year: 17th, 34th, 36th, 34th, 19th, 18th, 29th, 17th, 17th, 27th, 15th, 32nd, 15th, 28th, 10th, 33rd. We know it's a 50-50. She's very easy to project. You project her for 16th, or you expect her to be involved in a wreck. There is no middle ground. We are, this many races in. I don't remember off the top of my head. We are, clearly over 75% of the way through the season, maybe 65. And we understand where she falls. In a situation where she doesn't get wrecked, she's going to finish around 17th to 15th. If she gets wrecked, you're looking at 30th place finish. If anything, she's one of the more easier people to project. And so project her for 17th, project her for 15th, project her for 14th, and see if she's worth the price tag. For me, I'm probably not going to end up going there because I would just have her. Actually, I'll just tell you what I have her at. I have Haley Deegan projected for, where are we at? I'm giving her 16th. So that is 28 points. That's where we're at. You're good, man. I think well, first off, I'm using practice speed. I would use what the card looked like. Certainly how well I think the team is going to perform as a whole. Secondly, I would look at Gateway. I want a vehicle that runs through, because when you look at Gateway and Martinsville, yes, neither one of them are very similar. I would lean it towards Gateway being the more similar race because you're carrying more speed in this corner than you are in Martinsville. Martinsville, you're at a crawl 48 to 55 miles per hour in the corners, whereas you're going much faster here and you're staying in the gas more. Martinsville, it's more of a braking and letting off. It's more of a what setup you have on the entry, rolling in the corner off the gas and then getting back at the gas early. Whereas here at Lucas Oil, yes, you get on the brake, but you're on the throttle for a majority of the corner. You have very little off time because you're having to chase the momentum, having to chase the car around. If you end up not being on the gas, you're going to not make the corner. You're going to be slow. You have to be on the gas here. And so we want a car that's going to rotate through the corners. I think Gateway is a good indicator of that due to the fact that you have to carry a lot of speed through the corners of Gateway, specifically through 3 and 4. I understand it's a much longer corner. I understand the radius is much longer, but I would lean Gateway over Martinsville. While those are still probably the two places this year that we can use the most. Past that, I would then look at road courses and see how these vehicles performed in the corners there. And then look back at driver history, not necessarily at this track, but just how do they typically perform at short flat tracks here. And then look at how, first and foremost, as I said, I want to look at practice. But once you get through those, look back at the teams, look back at what the teams are bringing to each driver, and it leans you to the people I've been talking about this whole race. I like a KBM guy. I like Corey. I think Corey and Chandler Smith have a much higher chance of winning over Nemechek. I've kind of answered this, but I assume that you have not been in here the entire time. I think Chandler Smith is fat. I think he has the best car today. I think he competes directly with Nemechek. I think Corey, based on, just kind of answering JJT, I'm looking at Gateway. I'm looking at the tracks that Corey has ran. Corey is a short track guy. Came from the ARCA series. We've seen how good he is in a truck right off the bat. Corey's very, very talented. The fact that we're at a track that would fall into Corey's style, I think is fine. The fact that we have live pit stops tonight and not modified pit stops, once again elevates KBM to have an advantage on pit road here. Especially, look, this situation, we're going to go green. Regardless if we have a yellow due to people wrecking or the end of the stage, we're going to have lap traffic in between in between your race leaders. Or in fact, let me change, in between everybody on the lead lap. So you're going to have your leader, probably second place, probably some lap cars, third place, lap cars, fourth. You get the idea. We're going to have lap cars spread in and out of the field under yellow. When they enter pit lane, the leader is going to have a substantial advantage certainly over the guys second and third, but unless they completely destroy the pit stall and we have a gigantic issue where it results in a penalty, the leader should maintain the lead under yellow. The KBM guys should maintain the running positions under yellow, and there shouldn't be people jumping from 7th to 3rd under yellow due to the fact that you're not only having the space that lap cars would have had entering pit lane. Like, you have to make that up. You also have to pass everybody in front of you on pit lane. And so for me, that's why I'm leaning Heim, Smith, and Nemechek. But I like Heim and Smith based on what I can do with my lineups. I think they are all very similar plays, and I would much rather go the cheaper way there. That's where I'm at there. I don't think so. I mean, with Corey, I'm not very concerned about it. Very similar to Haley Deegan. I can project. I know what I'm getting out of Corey. There's not much upside, or not much upside. There's not much worrying. I enter the race understanding the guy is gonna finish last or compete for the win. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. Like with Sauter, not sure what Sauter is gonna do. Friesen, probably gonna run 6th all day. Corey, gonna compete for the win or wreck out. I would much rather be aggressive on Corey and just understand that halftime he's going to wreck out, halftime he's going to compete for the win, than a guy who's going to finish 5th week in and week out. That's just where I'm at there. And so based on like DNF factors and stuff, whether it's the Truck Series, Xfinity Series, Cup Series, unless you're talking about drivers that run in the back half of the field, I don't even look at DNF rates and stuff for front runners, because it's very similar to like Chastain, like at Pocono. Like, I mean, granted, we've waited all year for somebody finally wreck Chastain, but you understand that Chastain, by the way he races, he's going to be a top 5 driver, or somebody's going to put him in the fence. Like, that's fine. I'm perfectly fine playing those guys. It's very similar to, I'm trying to think of like an NFL guy that I could think of. Probably not to the extent of like Hardman and Tyreek was too consistent last year, or he wasn't as boom or bust. But it's like certain wide receivers to where they either go for 28 points or they're going for 5 each week. Like, I understand what I'm chasing there. I don't have to. I'm not scared of having the bad outcomes because I know what the good outcomes are. It's easier to project a ceiling day for Corey because I've seen that before. It's either the ceiling or the floor. There is no median outcome for Corey. And so that's my view there. 82 you guys here. I do appreciate you being here and stuff and hanging out this Friday. I think I'm hoping you meant to put the exclamation marks there. But thank you, Mark, for tuning in. I'm glad that you're thinking and that you guys appreciate this. I'm so sorry, Michael. I did not even get to this donation. I do apologize. Thank you very much for supporting me, supporting the channel, supporting these live shows, and supporting the work that Pearce and I put into this each and every weekend. I am perfectly okay with 0 Majeski, 0 Kraus, and 0 Howard. That would not bother me at all. Personally, I don't have any of those 3 guys in my lines, and I don't think I would be on those guys if I was building more lines this evening. That is where I'm at. Midlife, 45 minutes. I think we have an idea of where I want to go. I think we have an idea of how I want to build lines. I think I'm probably gonna saw it there. No, you're sorry, man. I'm not. Look, I got fat fingers too. There's a reason I don't make articles, because it would be illiterate as hell. It would not be readable. If you're in the Discord, you see nearly every message I send is edited because I just cannot type to save my life, whether it be on my keyboard, on my phone. I'm a goofball. I'm telling you, I'm a steamed vegetable when it comes to typing and writing. So you're fine with question mark smart. But yeah, I think that's where we're at. I think this is at least an insight of how I want to approach this race and how I want to build my lines. So I'm probably going to end it there, guys. Give you guys time to build your lines, get ready for the truck race, get ready for the Xfinity Series race later tonight. This ARCA race is so long, dude. I can't believe we're having 2 competition cautions. This is insane, dude. Like, I don't know why it's so long. And man, I would love, well, we've seen it before. Nobody cares about the Hispanics, man. I can say this as a dirty Hispanic myself. We've made tons of starts in the ARCA series this year. We don't get any coverage, okay? You know, we start Xfinity Series races. Nobody cares. This guy's friends with AJ Allmendinger and some of the NASCAR. The whole freaking broadcast is about this guy. It's unbelievable. I guess lastly, Hocevar, he's always a dark horse week in and week out. I don't think this is the race. I would much rather play him at an intermediate. I think he's like 5th or 7th in line to improve his position based on guys having issues or guys wrecking out, or like if KBM guys run into issues, you know, then we also need Ty Majeski to have an issue. That's where I would see Hocevar hopping in, because as I don't think Hocevar has top 5 speed under green to get there. We have Hocevar probably around 13th fastest. I'm guessing he's probably going to run 8th with about 13th fastest truck on the track. I don't see him making that jump from around 13th fastest all the way up to the lead, even with yellows and stuff. And I think this is a race to where the crew chiefs aren't going to necessarily pull a bad card and do something stupid and give up track position for no real reason. I think people are going to all pit together, especially with the fall off that we've seen. Like when you look at the laps, as I said it already in the live show, we have guys starting at like 106, 107. You know, they go through a run, they're already at 102 at the line, 103, 101 at the line. I mean, we have a ton of fall off at this track as well. And so tires are going to be huge. That leads into a situation where everybody should be pitting together. It leads to a situation where if you stay out, it's going to be a dumb move. You're going to get passed. I don't see the advantage of taking 2 tires. I don't see the advantage of staying out at some point unless there's like 7 to go in the race. Then we can't control that. But I think all those are just pointing to Hocevar not being able to capitalize on this tonight. So that's where I'm at there. 50 minutes of you guys being here. I do appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Consider joining the Patreon, supporting me, supporting Pearce, supporting the shows, and the work that we put in. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the live show for Xfinity. So best of luck tonight, and I'll see you guys later.